The dawn of the 20th century was a time of invention, a time of magic. America was a nation alight with possibility, and in the heart of this new world, a miracle element was discovered. Radium. It glowed with an ethereal light, a whisper of the heavens brought down to earth. People were captivated. They saw it not as a substance, but as a promise, a cure for diseases, a source of endless energy, a touch of glamour, and soon its ghostly green glow was everywhere, in chocolates and tonics, in toothpaste and cosmetics, but its most dazzling role was painting the face of time itself. This is the story of the girls who worked with that light, the girls who were told they were the future, the girls history would come to know as the Radium Girls. This is the story of their brilliant shine and the devastating darkness that followed. As the Great War raged across the ocean, America needed its soldiers to see, in the dark watches that glowed in the blackest of nights became an essential tool of war, and so factories opened in New Jersey, Illinois, and Connecticut. They hired young women by the hundreds. Their hands were small, their fingers nimble, perfect for the delicate work. For these girls, a job at the Radium studio was a dream come true. The pay was spectacular, far more than any other job available to women. It was a chance at independence, a way to help their families, a step into the modern world. They arrived each morning, their hearts full of hope. Their task was to paint the tiny numbers on watch dials with radium-laced paint. They were given a fine camel hair brush, and they were taught a simple routine to keep the brush tip perfectly pointed, a technique they called the lip dip paint routine. Lip dip paint. They would place the brush between their lips to shape it, dip it into the glowing green paint, and then paint the numbers with precision again and again, hundreds of times a day. With every touch of the brush to their lips, they swallowed a tiny dose of poison. They were told it was safe. Their managers assured them the radium was harmless. Some even said it would put a rosy glow in their cheeks, and the girls believed them. Why wouldn't they? They played with the glowing dust. They would leave the factory at night, their clothes, their hair, their skin shimmering in the dark. They earned the nickname the Ghost Girls, and they laughed about it. They wore their finest dresses to work so the fabric would glow when they went out dancing. Some even painted their teeth and fingernails with the luminous paint for fun. They had no idea they were painting their own bodies with death. In 1922, a young woman named Molly Maggia became ill. It started with a toothache. Her dentist pulled the tooth, then the next one. Soon gaping sores appeared in her mouth, ulcers that refused to heal. Her entire jawbone began to crumble. The doctors were baffled. They had never seen anything like it. Within months, Molly was dead. Her cause of death was officially listed as syphilis, a lie, a cruel attempt by the company to hide the truth and shame a dying girl. But Molly was not a lone one. By one, her friends and co-workers began to sicken. Their bodies betrayed them in horrifying ways. Their bones became brittle, honeycombed from the inside. A simple fall could shatter a spine. Strange tumors grew on their bodies. They suffered from crippling anemia, and one by one they died in agony. The girls who had dreamed of bright futures were now wasting away in darkened rooms, their bodies still glowing faintly from the poison within. And the company, the United States Radium Corporation, they knew, they had known for years. Their own internal reports warned of the dangers. Their male scientists handled the radium with lead screens and ivory-tipped tongs, but they never warned the girls protecting them would have cost money. When the women came forward with their illnesses, the company denied everything. They hired their own doctors to create false reports. They claimed the girls were immoral, that their sickness was their own fault. They waited, hoping the girls would simply die and their secret would die with them. Death cast a long shadow, but in that darkness, a single flame of defiance was lit. Her name was Grace Fryer. Her own spine had disintegrated, forcing her to wear a heavy steel back brace, but she refused to be broken. She decided to sue. For 2 long years, she searched for a lawyer who would dare to take on the powerful corporation. No one would touch the case. The companies were too big, too influential. It was a hopeless fight. Grace's friends were dying. The clock was ticking, but she did not give up. Finally, a young attorney named Raymond Berry agreed to represent them. Grace and 4 other women stood with her. The press dubbed them the Radium Girls, and their story exploded across America. A nation was forced to look at the dark side of its shining progress. The courtroom was a heartbreaking scene. The girls were so weak they had to be carried, and they were too frail to even raise their hands to take the oath. Their bodies were shattered, but their spirits were unbreakable. The company's lawyers used every trick they could. They delayed, they argued, they lied. They were simply waiting for the women to die before a verdict could be reached. But the Radium girls fought back with the one weapon they had left: their story. They spoke to reporters from their sickbeds, their words filled the newspapers, and the public listened. People saw that this was not just about 5 women, it was about every worker in every factory across the country. It was a fight for justice against greed. Under immense public pressure, the companies settled out of court. Each of the women received $10,000 and a yearly pension for the rest of their short lives. It was a historic victory. For the first time, an American employer was held responsible for the health of its employees. The battle had been won, but the war was not over. Even in death, the Radium girls continued to fight. Many willed their bodies to science. Their bones, still radioactive decades later, became crucial evidence. Their tragic story directly led to life-saving reforms in workplace safety. It led to the creation of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, agency that protects millions of workers to this day. The Radium girls lost their lives, but they won a legacy that will never die. They were not the ghost girls, they were beacons of light, a light that exposed the darkness of corporate greed and illuminated a path toward a safer future for generations to come. The glow they carried on their skin is long gone, but the light of their courage shines on forever in the pages of history.